Okay, let's jump right in. We hear this term all the time, right? India's demographic dividend. This incredible economic powerhouse fueled by its massive young workforce. But what if I told you that this amazing asset comes with a hidden tax? A cost that's being paid day in and day out by the very managers on the front lines, and it's threatening to burn them out completely.
Get this quote from a VP at a top Indian tech firm. It just hits the nail on the head. I spend 30% of my time on strategy and 70% playing therapist. I mean, wow, it tells you everything. Leadership today isn't just about hitting targets anymore. It's about navigating emotions, anxieties, and a whole new set of rules. And it is absolutely exhausting the people we need most to guide this new generation.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at this managerial burnout crisis and the generational disconnect that's fueling it. Then, we're going to introduce a really cool tool called the Leadership Energy Matrix, walk through a practical playbook for leaders, and finally, talk about how we can cash the real dividend. All right, so let's start with the problem itself, this crisis of managerial burnout. And, it's hitting one group in particular really, really hard, what we're calling the sandwich generation of leaders. So, who are these folks exactly? Well, think Gen X and older millennial managers. From the top, their boards are breathing down their necks, demanding results, speed, you know the drill. But from the bottom, their Gen Z teams are asking for purpose, for psychological safety, for a voice in everything. These managers are just stretched totally thin, basically acting as human translators between two completely different worlds. And this is where we get to the heart of it. This isn't just your average work stress. It's managerial emotional burnout. It is the hidden tax we are paying for this incredible young workforce, and if we don't figure this out, we literally risk breaking the backbone of experienced leadership that we need to nurture all this new talent. The stakes are incredibly high. So, you gotta ask, why is this even happening? Well, at its core, this burnout is being fueled by a really deep disconnect. It's a total communication breakdown between generations that have fundamentally different ideas about what work even is. And the data, man, it just paints such a clear picture of this gap. You've got about a third of leaders openly admitting they struggle to manage Gen Z, and then on the flip side, almost the exact same number of Gen Z employees say they feel completely misunderstood by their bosses. It's like they're speaking two different languages. This really gets to the why behind the what. You see, the unwritten rules of the game at work, the psychological contract, it's been completely rewritten. For a Gen X manager, the deal was simple. I give you my loyalty, I work hard, you give me job security and a nice title. But for Gen Z, the deal is totally different. It's, I'll give you my best talent, my creativity, but in return, you have to give me purpose, autonomy, and a real voice. They're not just trading their time for a paycheck, they're investing their very identity. Okay, so this is where we need to kind of shift our whole perspective. The easy trap to fall into is to just label this a Gen Z problem. But what if it's not about the generation at all? What if, instead, it's about the type of energy a leader brings to their job? And let's be honest, this is the question on a lot of executives' minds, right? Maybe whispered in boardrooms or over coffee. Are the demands of this new generation just unreasonable? The answer? It's a hard no. The issue isn't the generation. It's the leadership model we're using. For years, we've told managers to be more empathetic, but we completely forgot to teach them how to set boundaries. And here's the kicker. Empathy without any boundaries doesn't create connection. It is a direct, one-way ticket to burnout. Okay, so let's break down this leadership energy matrix, because it is the key to everything. Down in the bottom left, you have the old school boss. Low empathy, reactive, creates a ton of friction. Then you have the well-meaning managers who are bleeding hearts. They're high on empathy, but low on emotional regulation, so they just absorb everyone's stress and burn out. The goal, the absolute sweet spot, is the top right, the sustainable coach. They have high empathy, but they also have high emotional regulation. They can care deeply and set healthy boundaries, which lets them lead effectively without getting drained. That's where we want to be. So, the big question is, how do we help our managers get there? Well, it's not about sending them to a one-day workshop. It takes a real systemic change. It takes a playbook for the whole organization. And this playbook is built on 3 core pillars. First, defining boundaries. Second, building bridges between generations. And third, fundamentally changing how leaders lead. Let's dig into each one. All right, step 1. And honestly, this one is so crucial. You have to define the manager's emotional scope. Their job is to enable performance, not to be an unlicensed therapist. The key action here is to give them a referral protocol. This gives them the tools, but more importantly, it gives them the permission to say, I really care about what you're going through, and because I care, I'm going to connect you with a professional who's truly equipped to help. This protects the employee and it protects the manager.
Second, institutionalize reverse mentoring. And listen, this isn't just some fluffy PR move. It is a strategic weapon. You pair a senior leader with a Gen Z employee. The leader gets a real-time pulse on new trends, new tech, new ways of thinking. The junior employee gets an incredible inside look at how the business really works. It builds genuine respect and just flattens that old-school hierarchy in a really powerful way.
And finally, step 3. This one is all about a fundamental mindset shift. Gen Z, they just don't care about your title. They care about your competence and your ability to connect. This means we have to train our managers to lead with inquiry, not just advocacy. Instead of barking orders, they need to learn how to ask really powerful questions. Because when people feel like they've been heard, they're infinitely more bought in.
So let's pull all these threads together, shall we? When you implement this playbook, you can stop seeing this whole generational shift as a problem and start seeing it for what it truly is, the ultimate opportunity.
And this is the big aha moment. Gen Z's demands for purpose, for a voice, for empathy, they're not a bug in the system. They are a feature. They are the catalyst that is forcing a long overdue upgrade to our entire leadership operating system, a shift from command and control to one of coaching and connection. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to a choice for leaders. You can look at all this and see a crisis of entitlement, and you can complain about kids these days, or you can see it for what it really is, a crucible, a challenge that forges a new, more human, and ultimately much higher performing style of leadership. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The potential of India's young workforce is absolutely immense. It is real. But that potential just stays locked up, unrealized, unless we invest in and fix the leadership engine that's supposed to unleash it. The managers are the key. And so that leaves us with one final thought, and it's for you. As you think about your own teams in your own company, ask yourself, what is the hidden tax of burnout that we're paying in our organization, and what are we going to do to finally fix it?